Mr Speaker, let me put this to him simply. If it was a police officer, a teacher, a doctor, we would expect the independent process to be followed and not changed after the verdict. It's one rule for them and one rule for the rest of us.
An outspoken and unconventional politician, Angela Rayner was never afraid of taking the fight to her opponents.
They're using the rules as it seems fit for them, and actually now people are seeing it's one rule for them and one rule for everybody else. It's a disgrace what they've done. They've undermined Parliament, they've undermined our democracy.
But a row over property tax found her on the receiving end of difficult questions.
But just to be clear, you've referred yourself to the Standards Commissioner, you've contacted the tax revenue and said you could be liable for more tax. Presumably you deeply regret this because of potentially the fallout for you. Do you think your position, Angie Rayner, even though you've explained it, do you think it's sustainable? Do you think you can carry on as particularly Housing Minister?
Well, I made a mistake based upon the advice that I relied upon, that I received at the time, and a leading expert has now said that advice was wrong. I think hopefully most people can see if you rely on advice given to you by lawyers and you follow that process, and then you find out that that process is wrong and that advice was wrong, I'm rectifying it at the earliest opportunity. People make mistakes, but I conducted myself in trying to do the right thing, and I hope that people can see that.
Okay.
Angela Rayner's route to the top of government was an unusual one. Born in Stockport, she left school at 16 whilst pregnant and with no qualifications. After training in social care, she became a union official before then joining Labour. Speaking before she entered government, she said she initially found Parliament an alien environment.
When you got to Westminster, did you just think there's no one like me here? Was it lonely or difficult?
I didn't understand that it was such a big network here. I never, I've been to London a couple of times as a union rep to our headquarters for the union, but before then, I mean, when I was growing up, my world was 3 streets on the estate I grew up in. I didn't even go to Manchester. I lived in Stockport, which is a town just outside of Manchester. Manchester was a huge thing, never mind London, never mind, politics and government. But the driving force that I've always had is about trying to do the right thing. My nana taught me that. She said, always do your best. Always do your best. And I've always tried to do the right thing. And when I became pregnant at 16, I wanted to prove that I could be a good mum. I wanted to love my child and do the best I can for him.
First elected to the Greater Manchester seat of Ashton-under-Lyne in 2015, Angela Rayner was appointed Shadow Education Secretary a year later. Seen as on the left of Labour, she was one of a handful of MPs who backed Jeremy Corbyn when he fought a leadership challenge after the EU referendum. She remained in his shadow cabinet throughout his time in office and through the Brexit battles, establishing a reputation for straight and colourful speaking.
He came out of the first day of talks and the Europeans got exactly what they wanted, and we rolled over and let them tickle our belly.
Tipped as a leadership candidate, Angela Rayner instead ran and was elected as Labour deputy to Sir Keir Starmer after 2019's election loss. After initially handing her a string of shadow cabinet job titles, Sir Keir attempted to demote her after disappointing local election results in 2021. But she resisted, won the power struggle that followed, and was handed an even bigger job, solidifying her position as a popular and influential voice on the left of the party.
And what a contrast to a government that is taking £1,400 out of the pockets of a nurse. Over £2 billion that they're giving to taxpayers' money has been dished out to their Tory donors and mates and ministers.
But she sometimes went too far and was criticised that year for calling Conservatives scum.
You said last night, we cannot get any worse than a bunch of scum, homophobic, racist, misogynist, absolute pile of banana republic, Etonian piece of scum. Is that the kind of civility that the Starmer-Rayner Labour Party envisages?
Well, look, that was post-watershed, as we'd say, with a group of activists at an event last night.
She eventually apologised for those comments, but still didn't shy away from confrontation in the Commons.
Mr. Speaker, I know that it is great to be here with the Right Honourable Lady, the Shadow Secretary of State, for the future of work. We know the future of the job that she has in mind.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard on the grapevine there might be a vacancy for Prime Minister soon, so maybe I should have aspirations.
A very different politician to the former barrister she served under, Angela Rayner was seen as a more traditional Labour voice who could speak to the party's heartlands. After the successful election campaign, she found herself in charge of important swathes of policy, overseeing changes to planning and house building, while also taking on responsibility for workers' rights.
But my mission is not just to build houses, it's to build homes, because we cannot build at any cost. These new homes must be warm, secure, and most importantly, safe. I know firsthand the difference a decent home can make. When I was growing up, we didn't have a lot, but we had a safe and secure home. Today, not everyone does.
But questions about her property arrangements started to emerge even before the election. Inquiries by the police and the tax office into homes she owned in the northwest seemed to put her in the clear. It was the purchase of a flat on the south coast that proved her undoing, though. A politician widely thought of as a potential successor to Sir Keir Starmer, brought down by the type of scandal she had so often called out. Rob Powell, Sky News in Westminster.